This is the Porsche Cayenne facelift, and no, I'm not in front of a green screen. This is the beautiful northeast of India, a territory that's not really familiar with the Cayenne because you see these cars usually driven by celebrities in big cities, five-star hotel lobbies and big glass corporate buildings. However, the Cayenne is meant for exactly territories like these. Beautiful mountains, winding ribbons of tarmac, and the most perfect and epic of views. This is Porsche territory. Well, for as beautiful as it is, the northeast of India is severely underrated. We don't usually do many drives here, but whenever we do, we are sure that we will find some amazing driving roads, and this one is no less. However, on the Cayenne, the first thing here that jumps at you is not the performance or the acceleration or any of that. It is the handling, and handling in true Porsche fashion has been done meticulously. It is one of the best handlers out there. What's really amazing is the steering calibration. It's just the right amount of light. When you change the modes, it changes as well. In Sport Plus, you get a good amount of heft as well, but it's not too heavy, not too inconsistent. And like I said, the calibration and the science behind it is really spot on. The new Cayenne gets a sophisticated two-valve system where the individual valves for compression and rebound make adjustments depending on the conditions. It sounds nerdy, but the end result is a perfect balance between performance and comfort. In corners, mid-corners especially, the Cayenne does not roll as much. Yes, there's a bit of body roll, but that's down to the weight. It is a big, heavy SUV this. However, compared to what it is and in relative terms, it is one of the best out there. The balance is just perfect. You never are out of place. And like I said, it does feel like a proper Porsche. The other thing that has seriously improved thanks to the suspension is the ride quality. This thing is one of the best riding SUVs out there. And you couldn't really say that about Porsches in the past because obviously they'd been focused on the driving dynamics, and that is always a trade-off. When you are looking for good handling, you end up trading off comfort. Not on this one though, because no matter how firm I make the suspension, even in Sport Plus, it still has a good amount of pliancy. Bump absorption is very good. And it does feel very tough as well. Something that was highlighted on some of Meghalaya's broken roads. The drive was on an otherwise stunning route from Bhogale to Cherrapunji, one of the wettest places on the planet. But sadly, instead of plenty of rain, we got plenty of traffic trying to cross Shillong. The pretty but narrow streets were clogged, and that's what gave the Cayenne's super parking cameras a good workout. Once we crossed Shillong, the roads transformed completely and were also empty enough to stretch the Cayenne's legs and test its new and more powerful engine. Alright, well, it's a Porsche, so obviously handling is sorted, but what about the engine? A 3-liter twin-turbo V6, 353 horsepower, 500 Nm. 0 to 100 is 6 seconds, but if you get the optional sports chrono pack, which is a 2.2 lakh extra, you can shave off 0.3 seconds, so that becomes 5.7 seconds then. If you're really into your drags, you might want to use that. However, if you're into drags, it's not like you get the standard Cayenne anyway. But for what it is quite powerful. You have a good amount of grunt, especially in the mid-range. Once the engine crosses 2,500 RPM, you really get a nice surge all the way up to 6.5, and it pulls very strong. On the uphill sections in Sport Plus, you can tell the engine likes to rev high and the power is strong, especially in the mid-range and top end. Change the mode to comfort and it simmers down, but the response remains impressive. However, if you want more oral drama to go with the performance, the 5.9 lakh rupees sports exhaust will do the job just fine. Aiding driver engagement is the 8-speed automatic gearbox that is quick to shift and can be customized too. For even more driver involvement, there's also a manual mode, which means you can choose to shift using these paddle shifters. Very nice to the touch, and they are quite responsive as well, add a lot of driver engagement. So on roads like these, they really do come in handy. All said and done, the Cayenne is an expensive car. It is a luxury car. Because I'm driving on roads like these, it feels very nice, but driving in the city every day, you're not likely to experience all these things. What you will experience though is the interior, which is quite nice. A big departure from the previous generation. Everything analog has been moved to digital, and that's not really a good thing in my personal view. I think that big tachometer in the center, that was the Porsche identity. You still thankfully get that with the 911 and the 718. The needles bouncing off, they just add a lot of drama, so I think they could have stuck with that. But obviously it's a luxury car, they need to have the interior up to date. And this of course is the Taycan layout. You get screens for the center, obviously. You get this digital instrument cluster, and an optional extra is also the passenger screen, which you can't see from the driver's side for safety reasons. But you can stream videos on it, you can check out what the driver is doing, what the setting of the car is. A lot of stuff in there to keep the passenger occupied.
The center console is heavily updated with the chunky gear lever being omitted to make more space. The gear selector is now a toggle style switch on the dashboard. In place of the old selector is a glossy panel for climate control, which was smudged in the first 5 kilometers.
And like every other Porsche, there is a lengthy list of equipments and optional extras.
Closer to Cherrapunji, we experienced the torrential rain that washed off the Guwahati muck, revealing the design changes. Like every Porsche, the new Cayenne 2 is an evolution and not a revolution. The headlamps are slightly sharper, the matrix LEDs techier, the bumpers redesigned. There's 20-inch wheels as standard, but you can choose from as many as 24 wheel options, ranging from 20-inch to 22-inch. Decals are also an option if you want to spruce up the styling, and the rear is now sleeker to look at thanks to the repositioning of the number plate. We ended day one in the hills of Cherrapunji, and the next day before we got going, I quickly sampled the rear seat of the Cayenne as well.
Alright, so we're in the back seat of the new Porsche Cayenne, and space, as you can see, is not an issue at all. Enough legroom, enough knee room. There's a good amount of foot room as well, and this seat is in my driving position. I sit quite far behind anyway, so this is a big win for the Cayenne. And overall the seat comfort is quite nice as well. The backrest recline is nice. It's not as plush as a Range Rover, but it does the job just fine. You won't really complain. You have electric sun blinds as well. Now these are optional extras, over $1 lakh for these, but they definitely help on a hot day. Panoramic sunroof, also an optional extra, $4 lakh almost. And I mean, you know, that's the price you pay for some sense of space if you want the cabin nice and airy. Now there's a big tunnel here in the center, but the center passenger is not going to be as comfortable. So yeah, that's going to be a bit of a compromise. You of course have AC vents in the pillars here and down here, and you have your individual climate control. So it's a 4-zone climate control, 2 Type-C ports as well. So it's a pretty nice cabin overall, but this is always the seat you want to be in. When you're in a Porsche, is the driver's seat. If you want the perfect backseat experience, this is not the best one. However, it will do the job just fine.
At rupees 1.3 crore, the new Cayenne isn't cheap, but by the time some essential options are ticked, you get very close to the rupees 2 crore mark. So to buy this car, you need to be very sure of what you want. If you want to be chauffeured around, there are better alternatives out there, and also if you want something snazzy and exclusive. But if you want to drive yourself and are confident you will make it out of the city more often, no other SUV will come close to the new Cayenne.